again, and welcome to another Mordian Glory Warhammer 40k video. In today's episode, we are going to be casting our ever critical eye over a 10th edition datasheet. This time we are peering into the murky world of the Inquisition. We're going to ask and answer one simple question. Is Coteaz an auto-include in your guard army? A hot topic, to be sure. A divisive question, possibly. You know what? There's only one thing for it. We're going to have to pick up that Thunderhammer and charge right into today's episode. Attention, guardsmen. My ever-salty partner in crime, Admiral Simon, has got an important announcement for you.
This September and October, I am doing a charity walk along the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu. We'll be raising money for two fantastic charities, our local hospice, Halton Haven, and also the Pink Ribbon Foundation that raises funds to combat breast cancer. As I hate camping, walking, and will be shitting in a bucket for 4 days, I will be particularly salty and would value any support you can give us. Please click the link below for our Just Giving page. Thank you very much.
You heard the man. It's for a good cause, and you all know Simon from the battle reports. That's all for now. Move out, conscripts. For those of you who are somewhat out of the loop, GW has recently released the Imperial Agents Codex, and this has opened up all sorts of interesting opportunities because you can now essentially ally in a whole bunch of stuff to your Imperial army. Want to have some Grey Knight Terminators deep strike alongside your sisters? You can have that. Do you want a Deathwatch kill team to take the fight to the enemy in your guard army? That's entirely possible. But it's not just about the big ticket items. It's not just about the big squads. It's also about the characters. You see, there are a whole bunch of named and unnamed Inquisitors that you can now add into your army. And some of these have got some real potential, especially inside the Guard, where we can really take advantage of some force multipliers. And one such Inquisitor, and the topic of today's video, is Coteaz. But what is so special about this Captain Underpants wannabe? Well, let's have a quick look over his datasheet. Firstly, he's got a movement of 6 inches, he's toughness 3 with a 2+ save and a 4+ invulnerable save, and he's got 4 wounds with leadership 6 and OC 1. The movement and the toughness and the wounds isn't that much to write home about, but having the good save, the good invulnerable, and especially in the Guard, having the good leadership can make him surprisingly durable, and he can help out a little bit with making sure your guys do as they're told and passing their battle shock tests. He also comes with a buttload of special weapons and abilities. Starting off with his war gear, he's got a bolt pistol. Honestly, not much to get excited about there. But he also comes with the Psychic Blast. This is anti-demon 4+, anti-infantry 5+, dev wounds and psychic. It's got an 18-inch range. It fires d6 shots, hitting on ballistic skill of 3+. It's strength 3, AP -1, damage 1. None of that's overly exciting, but anti-infantry 5+ is kind of interesting because obviously there are custodians and things out there which you would be wounding on 6s, but now you'll wound on your 5s. Also, the big thing is the dev wounds, right? Because if you get anti-infantry 5+, then if you do get a 5+, then you're going to start potentially popping some of those dev wounds through a little bit more reliably. You're not fishing for 6s, you're fishing for 5s and 6s. But really where Coteaz is going to start laying the smackdown is with his Nemesis Demon Hammer. I honestly thought that it was a mistake in the index when this guy was strength 9, but no, apparently Coteaz hits harder than a Space Marine with this hammer, and I say good on him. Good on him. So the total stat line is it's a psychic weapon, it's a melee weapon, it's got 3 attacks at a weapon skill of 3+, strength 9, AP -3, 3 damage. In fact, I think he even hits better than a Space Marine. I'm sure a lot of things like Eviscerators and Thunderhammers and stuff hit on like weapon skill 4+ with Marines. So he is tripling his normal human strength, and he is hitting better than a Marine with better AP and better damage. This thing is going to crack skulls and clap cheeks. For a lot of armies, Coteaz's damage output probably isn't much to write home about, but in the Guard, it shouldn't be overlooked. I'm not saying he's going to start smacking Angon around single-handedly, but there are very few sources of that kind of melee damage from one model in the Guard. And it's not that you want to start charging Coteaz off into the middle of the most brutal melee brawls, but if perhaps the volley of las guns doesn't do what the Commissar said it would do and doesn't bring down the thing and it's got like a wound or two left over, whereas going for the charge with a normal Guard unit might not result in that last wound or three getting chipped off, Coteaz going in there could seal the deal. So a little bit of insurance policy gives you a little bit of combat in the bank, gives you an extra tool in the toolbox. But if I'm going to be honest with you, you're not taking Coteaz for his damage output. That's just a bonus. What really makes this guy shine, other than the polished gold underpants, is his abilities. These get better and better the more you read down the list. So firstly, we've got Authority of the Inquisition. While this model is leading a unit, it can embark within any transport that its bodyguard unit can embark with. This one isn't much to write home about, it's just a mechanic there to let Coteaz embark in a bunch of vehicles. Because without the right keywords, he wouldn't normally be able to get in things like, let's say, a Land Raider, or for the Guard to get inside like a Stormlord or a Taurox. This just lets him get inside transports that aren't just Imperial Agents transports. Things start warming up a little bit with Malefic Wardings. While this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have a 6+ invulnerable save and a 4+ invulnerable save against psychic attacks and attacks made by demon models. The 6+ invulnerable save is okay. Fishing for sixes is always a bit of a gamble. Sometimes it's going to pay off. A lot of the time, you're probably not going to really feel it. But don't dismiss the 4+ invulnerable save against psychic attacks, because there are a surprising amount of those out there. One of the more popular armies at the moment that's doing the rounds in the meta is Grey Knights. And yes, a lot of their psychic attacks are in melee, but Guard don't really have many 4+ invulnerable saves in melee. We do have our own Primaris Psyker, but his invulnerable save is only for shooting attacks. So whereas Coteaz's works all the time. Also, even more common than Grey Knights, and what very well may be the most powerful faction at the time of recording this video, and even if they do get changed, they're still going to be very common and very prevalent, Thousand Suns. Everything Thousand Suns do is psychic, whether it's Cabal points or whether it is shooting or combat, everything they do is psychic. So having a 4+ invulnerable save against psychic attacks is not something you want to completely dismiss. And I guarantee you, if you go to a GT, you go to a tournament, on one of those 5 rounds, you're going to get paired into Grey Knights or Thousand Suns. It's going to happen. And when it does happen, you're going to be very grateful that you've got Coteaz's Malefic Wardings. However, it is a little bit situational. But what is not situational is Spy Network. Each time your opponent gains a CP as a result of an ability, roll 1d6, and on a 2+, you also gain a CP. A lot, and I'm going to say it again, a lot of army lists out there rely upon generating extra command points. And why not? Command points mean more stratagems. Stratagems are very powerful abilities. That means there's a very high chance that when you run Coteaz, you're going to be able to farm CP off your opponent. Now, it's not guaranteed. There will be times when your opponent doesn't have an ability like that. But I would say, again, like Malefic Wardings, it's going to come up once, if not twice, if not more than that every single turn. It's semi-situational, but it'll come up enough where you'll feel like it's worthwhile and it's worth taking into account with your battle plan. The big thing with the Guard, though, is that more and more players are starting to move away from the Lord Solar Leontus. It's not that Leontus is bad, it's just that he's not as good as he once was, and yet his points cost is still pretty high, considering you also have to really take him with an attendant infantry squad, and then you've got to have a command squad, and the Lord Solar Blob minimum is coming in 240 points. Coteaz is nowhere near that much. He's like half that points. So it's not guaranteed, but you're going to save yourself a few points, and, well, that could be an extra Hellhound. That could be most of your way to an extra Lehman Russ with the point savings you get with him. So it's that trade-off. If you weren't planning on taking the Lord Solar anyway, but you want to still be able to get a few bonus CP, Coteaz could be the answer. But the real hot tamale is his war gear ability, the Glavodan Cyber Eagle. In your command phase, you can select one enemy unit within 18 inches of the bearer. Until the start of your next command phase, that unit cannot have the benefit of cover. In the guard, this is an incredibly valuable ability because we have a lot of weapons which have got great damage, great strength, but struggle in the AP department. For example, the humble, venerable Lehman Russ battle cannon is damage 3, it's strength 10, but with only AP -1, the moment that you yeet that thing into something which has got a 2+ or 3+ armor save, it really starts to struggle as they'll just be in cover and then your AP is almost meaningless. It's one of the reasons why in recent times I have really warmed up to the Hellhound, because Hellhounds have that ability to strip cover away from the enemy. Their own damage output is very respectable, but a really big draw towards that unit is the fact that it strips cover away from the enemy. Not that its own weapons just ignore cover, but that it lets all the other units in my guard army ignore cover as well. But one of the problems with the Hellhound is it needs direct line of sight. That can limit the angles that it can get if it's particularly dense board, or it can put the vehicle in harm's way. But Coteaz and his Eagle don't need line of sight. You just need to pick one enemy unit that is within 18 inches of Coteaz in the command phase. So basically, you get the bird, you throw it over the wall, and if the bird can see you, then you don't get the benefit of cover. It's kind of like getting a drone or a recon drone to sort of buzzing it over the top of the terrain. It's a great way of being able to remove cover, and 8 inches is a pretty long distance, and also keeping your unit safe. But where I think this ability is most potent is when combined with guard artillery. GW has done a lot of things to try and limit the effectiveness of our indirect fire. They in fact changed the core rules because of it. And one of those changes is that if you're shooting someone with an indirect fire weapon, they always get the benefit of cover even if they're not in cover. But with Coteaz, you can just get rid of that and start pounding the enemy with your basilisks and your manticores. But the artillery piece that I think most benefits from this Cyber Eagle is the field ordnance battery. These things have only got AP -1. So the moment you fire them at the enemy indirectly, which you're going to need to, because otherwise they're just going to die because they're quite fragile, the enemy is just going to basically ignore your AP, and that's going to limit its effectiveness, like we said. The Cyber Eagle is a really easy way of just getting rid of what I think is the biggest hang-up with that unit. And I'm kind of feeling fobs at the moment because whilst they don't get lethal hits like a lot of artillery doesn't, they do still get sustained hits. So you still get a bit of a reward for rolling those 6s when you roll to hit the enemy. But the big reason why I think Coteaz and fobs go together nicely, and why I think it's an important combination to recognize, is because of how prevalent field ordnance batteries with bombast cannons are. They are in every single start collecting set, and for a lot of guard players, it's going to be the first artillery piece that they get their hands on, and it's going to make up the bulk of their indirect fire. And as I have said many times in many videos and many live streams, indirect fire is phenomenally important to the guard for just so many reasons. And yeah, you could go out there and buy a bunch of basilisks and manticores, and they're pretty good units and they're cool, so you might want to do that anyway. But if you're just getting started with the guard, maybe you got your first 2,000 point army together, and the only indirect fire you've got available is field ordnance batteries, well, you want to try and make those effective. And it's a lot cheaper to go out there and get a Coteaz model, whether you get the new one, you get the old one, or you kit bash one, than it is to go out there and buy an entire SPG fleet. So bringing all of this together, I think Coteaz is a fantastic addition to a lot of guard armies. Not only is he going to give you that pinch of close combat, allowing you to bonk some enemies on the head that just wouldn't go down to the guns, but he also has a laundry list of abilities, with his best one being that Cyber Eagle, which once again makes guard artillery a force to be reckoned with. At least that's what I think. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Are you a fan of Coteaz and his abilities? And are there any other Imperial Agents units that you think make a good addition to a Guard army list? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.